Here's a clock that I ordered off of Marketplace, and I picked it up to include shipping for about $9.50. It says made in USA. I'm going to take it apart, see if I can find a manufacturer on it. Just a small clock. It's almost 4 inches in length. Yeah, it is 4 inches in length by I get my caliper to correct with cooperate with me. Almost 2 inches in thickness and 3 inches in width at the base. So I'm going to take it apart, and I know it's got a hairspring type escapement in it. Remember the horseshoe clock I was working on with that spring that I had trouble getting out of? Well, the hairspring was rusted, and so I end up that's not it. I end up breaking the hairspring, trying to replace it with the hairsprings that you get from Time Savers, and the pinion for the hairspring broke on me. So another clock that will be looked at a different time. So this clock's got 3 little nuts on it. So I'm going to get out my tools and take it apart. So stand by. I have the 3 little nuts off. Now you take the winding key and turn it backwards, and it will come off. Now I should be able to just take it apart. It's extremely dirty. See all the grease on these gears? Extremely dirty. Hairspring type escapement. Doesn't want to tick because it is extremely filthy. Not exactly sure how to take the dial off. It's threaded. So there's little posts right here that are screwed into the front plate. Typically there's nuts or pins on these posts that you take off, and you should be able to pull it out, but not in this case. It looks like it comes out from the front, and not exactly sure at this moment how to get the front off, but I have to take the front off in order to take the hands off, in order to take this movement apart. So I'm going to try a small screwdriver and pry that off. So stand by. Just what I thought. Taking a small screwdriver, prying up on the lip here. And that comes off. Now I have to take the hands off, and then probably the dial will lift off in order for me to take and unscrew these screws. These little tools here is from my pocket watch repair days. You put the pry bar underneath the hands and then push, and these little plastic pieces protect the dial. So let's see what happens. Got the minute hand off. It's not cooperating with me. Plus, I'm trying to look over the top of this camera. I'm gonna take the second hand off. Got the second hand off. And then I get the hour hand off. I'm going to see if I can pull it off. If not, I'm going to take a towel and put underneath the hand, and then with a couple of screwdrivers, the towel protecting the dial, with the screwdriver, a pair of pliers, I'm going to pull it off. So stand by. I didn't want to come off, but I lifted up the dial and it came off. It's bitted tightly on this arbor, so I'm just going to leave it on there. And now I can get to these screws to take this plate off and see how much oil is in there. Me and somebody was just talking today. When somebody buys a clock from a store, like a clock store, the person is more interested in selling them the clock, and they don't really go over the care and maintenance of a clock. Clocks should be serviced every few years, depending on the clock. A cuckoo clock, I would recommend every 3 years, because the way it's designed, the chains come out of the case of the clock, dirt, hair, etc., go back up into the clock as it functions. A clock like this, which is enclosed in a case that's not exposed to the elements, I would recommend every 5 to 6 years. And some people say grandfather clocks should be serviced every 10 years. So with that said, yeah, they need to be serviced. Old oil come out, fresh oil put in. So off camera, I'm going to take this clock apart and clean it up, and then put it back together, and hopefully it runs. I want to mention that the spring has this barrel around it, so I'm gonna take the power off and let the spring go into the barrel. And I don't know if you're gonna be able to see what I'm doing. I'm gonna try to show you, but here I got the winding key. I'm gonna put it back on. I'm going to put some pressure on it, and after putting pressure on it, I'll be able to move this click to the side, and then I'm going to allow the spring to go down into the barrel. I don't know if I'll be able to use my homemade winding tool here. I think I can. Pushing the click out of the way, allowing the dowel to rotate in my hand. Now I can move the click out of the way, and as you can see, the key doesn't move anymore. So the pressure is off, so I can safely take this clock apart and without damaging anything. If you try to take a clock apart while there's power on it, you're going to damage something. Either the small pivots might get bent. If it's a 8-day clock or a powerful clock that has a bigger spring on it, you're going to damage yourself. So always remove the power off of a clock before you take it apart. And always take pictures of the clock all the way around, front, back, all sides. That way, if you're like me, where you can't remember stuff, or you might start working on a clock and then you get distracted, and it might be a few days or a week or a month before you get back to that clock, you can refer to your pictures to determine how to put it together, or if it had certain parts to start with. Maybe you're working on a cuckoo clock and it didn't have bellows to start with. You could determine whether or not the clock had certain parts to start with. Take the key off. Don't need that on there anymore. Anyway, we'll get back to you after I got this thing taken apart and cleaned, and hopefully in the next video you can see it up and running. Hope you're enjoying this video. Hit the subscribe button, and God bless.